It seems like robot vacuums are advancing so fast that there's a contender for best robot vacuum pretty much every month now. And the Mova V50 Ultra Complete is definitely a contender based on specs. Mova sent me the V50, but that's all. And at least for the moment, it is their flagship robot. And if you think that Mova robots look a lot like Dreamy robots, well, you're right. They're actually partner companies. But I think that Mova offers just a little bit more value for the money. So we're gonna test the V50, and at the end of this video, we're gonna give it a score, and we're gonna see how it stacks up on our current leaderboard. The Mova V50 has slightly better specs than the Dreamy X50, but at a lower price. For example, the V50 has 24,000 pascals of suction, whereas the Dreamy X50 has 20,000. They both have dual spinning mop pads, which we'll test in a moment, but the V50 can mop with warm water, and the Dreamy can't. The Mova has a retractable LiDAR navigation turret on top like the X50, but the Mova can recognize over 200 objects versus about 100 for the Dreamy, so it should be better at obstacle avoidance. One of the core reasons why you're gonna buy a robot vacuum is for pickup both on hardwood and on carpet. And so we sprinkle sand, 20 grams of it, all over the hardwood to make sure that it does a good job. And we found that the V50 was excellent on hardwood, picking up 100% of the sand that we dumped on it. We also found it to be quite effective with larger chunks of material like ground up chips and cereal. Not that anyone would ever leave those on their floor. Of course, we tested on carpet as well. We sprinkled 20 grams of sand onto the carpet, and then we let the vacuum go out with maximum suction and 2 passes. And we found it picked up 93% of the sand. That is close to the best we've ever seen. Now, of course, you might have people that like to dance on your carpet. So with our special grinding and dance technique, we sent the robot out again, and we found that it picked up 70% of the sand, which is very close to the best we've ever tested. The V50 has an extending side brush, and that makes it really effective at getting dirt out of corners. We placed 8 grains of rice, and we let it do its thing. And you can see it was super effective. It got all 8 grains of rice without any issue at all. We sprinkled 20 grains of rice along our baseboard, and then we sent the Mova out. But it has a system where it's supposed to be able to recognize dirt and not kick it out into the middle of the floor like pretty much every other vacuum does. It didn't seem to work on the first part of the baseboard, but then when it got over here, you can see in the app, it recognized some dirt, and then it slowed down the side brush quite significantly, and then it finished the task. Now, some rice did get kicked out into the middle of the room, but ultimately it picked it up in a second pass. The V50 has a dual brush roll system that is attached only at one end, so it helps move the hair down into the robot. They call it the Trobo Wave Duo Brush System. And the main wheels are supposed to avoid tangles as well. Somehow, not quite sure how that works, but when we tested it on pet hair on hardwood, it did a very good job at pickup, and also it seemed pretty anti-tangle. Let's take a look. Looks pretty anti-tangle with the pet hair. There is a little tiny bit here on the wheel. That's about it. We also tested it on longer 8-inch hair. And again, it did a really good job. This is an effective brush roll. In our corner mopping test, we actually test how well you can fit a round object into a 90-degree corner. Most robots don't do a very good job of it, but actually the Mova V50, I think it got closer into the corner with the mop than I've seen any other mopping robot before. That's pretty impressive. Now, what's pretty unique about this robot is that it can use warm water up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit on the mop pads. It dispenses the hot water at the base station onto the pads so they are warm when it first starts mopping. Now, the V50 has an onboard water tank, so as it's mopping, it is actively wetting the mop pads, although with room temperature water. It can push down onto the floor with 8 newtons of force. That's about 1.8 pounds. But what I think is actually pretty unique in the industry is the mop pads can actually tilt at a 5-degree angle in order to provide better coverage over things like thresholds. Now let's see how it performs with a wet mess. Soy sauce. You can see the robot spotted the stain. It's identified it as a liquid stain, and it is doing an intensive cleaning procedure on this liquid stain. And it's got a little area where it's working. Okay, the robot has gone back to the base station once, cleaned the mop pads. I think it looks pretty good. Maybe it could use one more pass, but that's pretty decent. In our side mopping test, you can see the mop is very effective, staying right up to the baseboard all the way along the wall. Now, let's see how the Mova does on dried stains. This coffee stain has had a chance to dry overnight, and it is quite hard and crusty, and I think even Enzo agrees. Let's see how the Mova does cleaning this up. So I set it to a little bit above the medium wetness, and I have set it to 3 passes, and so far it looks like it's actually being pretty effective. I think it got the entire stain in the first pass. I am using the auto detergent dispensing mode. Let's see what it looks like on a cloth right now. It has not gone back to the base station quite yet. So after the first pass, you can see that there is definitely coffee still on the floor. It's back at the base station. It is cleaning the mop pads. It just cleaned the mop pads at the base station, and they are nice and warm right now. Let's send it out for its next pass. So after going back to the base station a couple times, it has basically gotten all of the coffee off the floor. Now, in my experience, any robot with spinning mop pads is going to be moving some of the dirt around the floor. It's not going to be as efficient as picking it up as a robot with a roller style mop pad. It does need to go back to the base station more often. But I understand that Dreamy and other manufacturers are actually coming out with more roller style robots in the very near future. So I'll be reviewing those pretty soon. Mova gives you 2 separate cleaning solutions that auto dispense from here. A is the general multi-purpose cleaner, and then you also get a pet odor solution, which goes in here that is supposed to be able to deal with, I guess, pet pee. Now, I'm not going to test this because my ultra fluffy kitties are fully litter box trained, but it does seem to be a useful feature. The V50 has the most advanced navigation and obstacle avoidance system in the Mova ecosystem. They call it AI Smart Sight, and it has dual RGB cameras. It also has a light to illuminate dark areas. It also has a spinning LiDAR system in this turret, which can retract to get under things like my stove. It can go as low as 89.5 millimeters. Now, the LiDAR system scans the room 360 degrees, and it also has proximity sensors on the side and the back for walls and furniture legs. And of course, it has a carpet sensor and a cliff sensor too. So to check obstacle avoidance, we've got a shoe with the lace untied. We got a sock, should be pretty easy. We got some fake pet poop, maybe a little bit difficult. And we've got a power cord along the wall, which tends to be quite difficult. You can see it identified everything very successfully, including the shoe and even the power cable. And you have an option to let it save the photos or not take them at all. So it's one of the few robots that has successfully navigated every single obstacle in the test without touching it. Pretty impressive, but avoiding a charging cable is one of the most difficult things a robot vacuum can do. The V50 aced it. Mova says that the V50 is supposed to have the highest climbing ability of any robot on the market right now at 2.36 inches for a double layer. Now, it's supposed to be able to cross a single layer threshold of up to 3 centimeters. This 2x4 is actually 4 centimeters. Let's see how it does. Whoa, yes, it did it. It gets over thresholds via these little cams next to the wheels, which help push it over. So cool. Base station technology has really improved in the last couple of years, and this is one of the most advanced that you can get. It has hot water mop washing and hot air mop drying up to 80 degrees Celsius. That's about 175 Fahrenheit. And it can also run hot air through the dust bag to help reduce odors. In fact, I can feel it working right now. And it also UV sterilizes the bag too. So in case any water gets in there, it's not going to get smelly. When the robot docks with the base station, they've got multiple nozzles to clean the mop pads. And the clean water tank and the dirty water tank are pretty big. I think they're about 4.5 liters. The washboard is super easy to clean because it is self-cleaning. All you need to do every now and then is pop out this little filter to get rid of any kind of hair that's stuck on here. That's it. So overall, this is a pretty low maintenance dock. And honestly, I think it's one of the better looking ones too. I think the gold is kind of cool. One thing I was not expecting when I opened the box was to see this accessory pack where you get cleaning fluid, you get pet odor fluid, you get 12 additional mop pads, you get 3 bags, you get a couple of extra side brushes, another set of main brushes, and 3 filters. I think Mova is going the extra distance to prove that they are a value brand. The V50 is a very quiet robot. When it's mopping and vacuuming, we saw 56 decibels. When it's cleaning the mop, we saw 61. And when it's emptying the dust, we saw 72. The Mova app has gotten quite good. You can see where I just did some mopping over here. You've got cleaning options like Clean Genius, which I've used quite frequently, or you can do custom with all these different mopping and suction settings. And it has a camera so you can go have conversations with your pets. Saturn, what's going on? How did the Mova V50 Complete do against its competitors? Well, very good. So good, in fact, that it is now number 2 on our leaderboard, just behind the Narwhal Flow. And we do update our leaderboard regularly. Even though Mova is a partner company of Dreamy, it actually beat out the Dreamy X50 Ultra, on which it's based, by 6 points. It has better pickup performance and better obstacle avoidance. So if you're trying to decide between the Narwhal Flow and the Mova V50, I should tell you that the Flow does have a little bit better mopping performance because of its roller style mop design. However, the Mova is much more affordable, and in every other category, it's basically too close to call. And there's another thing, the Mova's threshold crossing capabilities are the best of any robot we've actually tested so far. Links are down below, and check out our top mopping robots video right here.